of the members that are joining this webinar. So I would like to give all of you my warmest thanks. Without you, I don't think we could provide this service, but also to the many experts that are members of the several committees that are advising the Codex Alimentarius, like Joint Expert Committee on Food Additives, the Joint Meeting on Pesticide Residues, the Joint Expert Meeting on Microbiological Risk Assessment, the one on nutrition. So thank you all. And now it's my pleasure to introduce another, can I say friends, because we've been meeting very often recently. And this is Eva Edwards. And Eva is the director of the Food Safety and Applied Nutrition Directorate of Nigeria's National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control. And Codex, and Eva is also attending the Codex committee meetings, and she's the contact point of the WHO and FAO InfoSum. So Eva is going to tell us about strategic priority number 4. Food safety is a shared responsibility. Eva, over to you.
Thank you very much, Francesco. Thank you. Greetings from Nigeria, everyone. It's indeed a great honor to be here with you today. I will be speaking on strategic priority 4. Now, this strategic priority speaks to strengthening stakeholder engagement and risk communication. And the aim is for food safety stakeholders to foster a food safety culture and encourage the acceptance of their individual as well as collective responsibility for food safety. Here I'm simply showing the strategic priority and its 5 strategic objectives. These are strategic actions that go with it, and I will go into them individually as I proceed. So what is strategic priority 4 speaking to? It is all about the people. It highlights the importance of strengthening engagement with all relevant stakeholders and the very important place of risk communication if we want to successfully implement the global strategy on food safety. And the question to ask here is, how can member states implement strategic priority 4? And this can be achieved by carrying out the actions outlined in the strategic objectives. So I'm going to start with the first one, which is to establish platforms for consultation on the national food safety agenda. Now, the importance of establishing such platforms really cannot be overemphasized because these are really important in advancing the national food safety agenda. Here I'm going to share with you some examples from Nigeria, where we have a National Food Safety Management Committee, which is a platform which brings together critical stakeholders. It presents an opportunity for these stakeholders to consult on all issues on the national food safety agenda, and issues are deliberated and actionable decisions are reached. From the slide, you can see that there is quite a broad spectrum of players in this management, food safety management committee. So we have the relevant ministries, departments, and agencies, the private agri-food sector, we have all the relevant professional bodies, as well as consumer groups. We also have the National Codex Committee, which is another platform for engaging with stakeholders just to make progress with the country's food safety agenda. I should mention here that there are some critical success factors for these platforms, and these include commitment of the members and a dedicated and functional secretariat, and my emphasis is on functional. This is the second strategic objective, and it's about assessing the pertinence of using non-regulatory schemes for enhancing food safety across the food chain. So here there is a need to assess some fundamentals. You need to think about how suitable is this non-regulatory scheme? Is it appropriate for your context? Is it applicable? And is it relevant? So the question for member states would be, is it supportive of your food safety management system? There needs to be a good understanding that regulatory and non-regulatory schemes can coexist, and that non-regulatory schemes can also complement the mandatory requirements. However, we're also aware of the private food safety standards, which are used by well-established businesses sometimes to support their food safety management systems. And these are to establish specifications for their suppliers, essentially their market requirements. For example, we have the GFSI, as the Global Food Safety Initiative, the BRC, just to mention those two. It's important to highlight here that these standards are not generally used in countries like Nigeria, where we have a significantly high number of micro and small scale producers, as well as our informal markets. And while we understand that these standards are legitimate, they are legitimate standards, they have a legitimate place, but they should not pose a barrier to national food safety regulations in the exporting countries. Competent authorities in member states could consider incentive schemes, could consider reward systems for the food business operators, and these incentives could be around having a good record of compliance by the food business operators, in which case there's a reduced frequency of inspection of their establishments, and generally what does this do? It reduces the overall cost of compliance. And also to mind that likewise, where there is non-compliance and the requirement for additional perhaps facility inspections or laboratory tests, that these will be borne by the food business operator. What this does is incentives serve as they could drive compliance, thereby enhancing food safety. So very quickly, this is the third strategic objective, and it's to establish frameworks for sharing verification of compliance with food safety regulatory requirements. And so for the member states, there may be the need to consider delegating some selected control functions to third parties, all the while that's who work with the regulators naturally to deliver food safety services. And if this is the case in the context of the member states, the competent authorities must ensure that they continue or that they maintain strong regulatory oversight of compliance with requirements and continue to carry out enforcement activities, and that the final accountability for verification of food safety measures in the food business establishments rests solely with them. And we're still with the same strategic objective for the fourth one. And here I'm just highlighting that the gains of stakeholder engagement with the food business operators cannot be overemphasized as a way to build and maintain the trust of food business operators in the work of the national regulatory system. And so what these stakeholder engagements create is opportunities for sharing updated information, for consultation, for constructive feedback, for training and capacity building, and also to give a deeper understanding of the rationale for regulatory decisions taken by the regulator. At the end of the day, what this does is bring about better compliance of the food business operators with regulations, and enhance, imbibe for them to imbibe a food safety culture with the understanding that safe food is good business. So our Nigerian experience of this strategic objective with a stakeholder, with facilitating communication with the food business operators. What we have in place is we have a system, a robust system of communication, which we use to engage our food industry groups. We try to do this quarterly. We share food safety information. We listen keenly and respond to their issues and give constructive feedback. And we're also open to receiving feedback. During these sessions, we also like to incorporate trainings for our food business operators on food safety, on good manufacturing practice, good hygiene practice, hazard analysis and critical control points, and just generally regulatory requirements to assist them in the work that they do. And this presents a platform for frank discussions, transparent and inclusive dialogue, and it provides the our food business operators a better understanding, and it gives them a basis for willingness to comply with the food safety requirements and regulations. I'll say that at this point, we're work in progress, and we understand the importance of keeping the channels open for two-way communication. And what this does for the food business operators is build trust in the regulator, shows them that we're approachable and responsive and inclusive. And on the side of the global food safety community, we have also a vibrant InfoSAM desk, well established. This is the last strategic objective. I'm going to run through it quickly. It's about leveraging the role of the consumer in demanding safe food. And this is a game changer. When the consumer, this is driven by the consumer, it's a game changer. Here, the consumer needs to be empowered with, one, the accurate information, key health messages on food safety, and just generally, as we saw in the video, information on ways to reduce the risk associated with food during its handling and preparation. And we may also consider integrating the food safety messages into already existing platforms like school curricula and programs that are already running on nutrition, for example. Here, I'll just quickly share what we do in Nigeria. We have integrated our health messages on food safety into our existing media channels of communicating with our consumers. So we have our radio and television programs. We have the health messages, food safety messages translated into the three main ethnic languages of the country. And we have also a local language that is spoken all across the country, and this is for wider coverage. Member states may also want to consider targeting safety messages at women, because we recognize the key roles in production and preparation. So in conclusion, I just want to say that the strategic priority 4 seeks that members adopt a people-centered approach, which is reflected in the principle of strategic priority 4. It's about synergy of actions. It's about safety being a shared responsibility and having a role for all actors, and embrace the more inclusive approach. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Eva. And the slogan we use is food safety is everyone's business. And that is actually what strategic priority 4 is about. And you said clearly that consumers' demand will drive change. You said that we need to engage with the private sector also because you need to explain decision. But you also mentioned the leadership of the public sector, the government. And I really would like to thank you because your leadership has been the one that has made, for example, the success of passing the legislation on the ban of industrial trans fat in Nigeria. So clearly you see that the leadership of government authorities, all of you, is critical for this to happen.